here today. And when this cloud puts you down, do you see anything around you?
I'm in the mountains. As I was coming over, I was going over this waterfall, and it was like this longest, widest waterfall that I was at. And as I'm arriving, I feel like this is just a place of, yeah, it's like a spiritual place, like a place to go and to get answers. So um, I think this is where they're taking me to get questions answered from the higher self.
Beautiful. So, is it just your higher self there, or do you feel anybody else there with you?
Um, no, I don't feel like my higher self's here to say like I'm there alone. Oh, nope, there are other people. There they are. They're kind of like creating a circle around me and joining hands. It's almost like they're helping to enhance the transmission.
Beautiful. And what kind of beings are these?
They're all women actually. They're kind of in flowy, beautiful garb. We're at the beach now, like where they're in an encircling. Um, they're
That
saying
is
that they're saying that they're my like Lemurian sisterhood.
that is so beautiful. So, what did you do with this Lemurian sisterhood?
Um, well, they're showing me what we did for like we were always connected. Like we did things together. Like we were always connected in love. And we were always connected in like dance and we're like the interconnectedness is really important for the message that they're showing me. And they're showing me that we worked with the elements a lot there. We worked with nature, with wind, fire, water, earth, we worked with all of that energy, but it was in a very harmonious, flowing way.
So, can they tell us why people are feeling so called to work with the divine feminine at this time?
Divine feminine just carries a certain frequency that's somewhat in the polarity with divine masculine. And so, what has happened on that scale is that the masculine energy, not men in particular, we're talking about the masculine energy, is off balance, it's too dominant. And the divine feminine energy needs to balance it out so that they can live in harmony. And the divine feminine energy that people are called to work with are to help with that balance. And that does go back to like Lemuria and Atlantis as well. Lemuria encompassed a lot of that feminine energy and that energy of working with all, nurturing, creation, love. And then the masculine energy was Atlantis, where they worked with the same types of crystals, but they wanted to kind of force the evolution. They wanted to kind of force things and they were competitive. And there's a lot of that masculine energy, and we're not putting down men or women. We're just saying that that's a parallel that we're trying to introduce. And when that masculine energy became too much from Atlantis, that's what caused the destruction of both Lemuria and Atlantis. And the Lemurians were trying to urge the Atlanteans to use the energy in more of a flowing, loving, helpful way than in such a destructive way.
So, what can we do to start bringing the masculine and the feminine into balance?
Well, there's good, things for both of the energies. So if you have that masculine energy, there's a little bit more of that drive, that moving forwardness, and to use that in balance with the feminine energy, which is like working with all and being in harmony and both have a really good place. And it's to be conscious of when you're tapping into either energy, is it doing the greatest and highest good by utilizing that energy, or shall I use more of the other energy? It's about being a very conscious creator and a conscious in the now moment of understanding that everything you do, you can tap in and use your resonance and use your intuition to guide you. Am I drawing from the right type of energy for this situation?
So how can we work with the different elements? So how could we connect and work with the element of fire?
You can use fire. You just have to tap into the elements of what is fire used for. Is fire used for regeneration, alchemization? Is it used for, a lot of plants when the fires happen, that it allows them to regrow, allows them to release the seeds to regrow. So as you're tapping into that energy of the fire, feel it, what the fire and the energy of it encompasses, the characteristics. Now, what are you wanting to do to tap into that energy? Why do you need that type of energy? And look at that, like, what is the example you're using it for to work with the elements? If fire doesn't seem like the appropriate element to work with, then move on to a different element that, with the, air, with wind, with, do you need something to just blow something out of your space and to clear it that way? Or, it's just water. Do you need it more of a cleansing? So it's just tapping into that energy and calling in the ancestors and calling in the energy of those elements and asking them to work in your life for the highest and greatest good.
Beautiful. So we had some questions today. Um, just some very like beginner friendly questions for anyone just starting their spiritual journey. Is there anyone around you that would like to answer these questions? Or are there any final messages that the sisterhood would like to give us?
They would like to give you that they understand and see what is going on this earth right now, and that they are sending their love. It's a very warm, motherly type of love that they are sending to the earth and humanity right now, as some are going through some very, very hard times. And they're almost embracing, like, we're children, like we're their children, and that they love us to that much. And they just want you to know that what happened in the past of Lemuria and Atlantis, right now there's an opportunity for people to rise above and to finally speak out against the injustice that they received in Lemuria, and that their island was destroyed. And right now, the parallels of what's going on in the fires is that the community's rising up and they're bringing awareness to the Atlantean energy, that masculine energy of not being it not being fair and it not being right. But now they're able to heal that ancestral wounds, because their voices and their unified voice will rise up and will bring light to the injustice that has gone on to that island. So it will seem like a hard time for a little bit, but it's also will come out to be triumphant, to heal that ancestral wounds. So we just want you to see the bigger picture, that a lot of times things that seem like destruction at that moment, that it is able to go back and heal long-term wounds that have happened.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that.
You're
Do they have
welcome.
any other messages?
Just that we love you so much.
Amazing. Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come in?
Carrie's higher self will facilitate any questions to the appropriate collectives that you have.
Amazing. So I guess we'll just start. Can you explain to us what the higher self is?
If time were to exist, the higher self would be you in your highest form of frequency. What would look like the future, but is not. So we're essentially you from the future that's gone through these experiences already, that's helping you navigate these times.
So what's the difference between a higher self and the oversoul?
The oversoul is someone that you would think if it was a hierarchy chain that the higher self would report to, but the oversoul is still a version of the higher self, but it breaks off into smaller versions. So you have the oversoul breaks off into smaller versions of higher selves, and those higher selves go and have experiences within the realm that they experience. And so the oversoul is just like if you were to have like a baby's like there's the all source, all knowing God, breaks off into smaller fractals, which breaks off into smaller fractals, which breaks off into an oversoul, which breaks off into a higher selves, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that there's like we can have a bunch of different aspects of ourselves or different kinds of beings that are all a part of the same oversoul. Are we able, since we are of the same oversoul, are we able to obtain all of that information from all of those lifetimes?
Yes, you're able to go in and obtain any information from any lifetime.
I have another question. Sorry, this one's kind of like off track, but can you tell us who the Elohim are?
What we're showing, Carrie, is that they're an ancient collective that helped with the creation of Earth.
So, what did they help create? Like, what aspects of Earth?
We're showing like a hierarchy. Like we see them looking over people, like over humanity.
So, are they like the archangels watching over humanity?
Hmm. Hold on, they're showing me scenes. They're trying to explain it to me. Like they're showing me wings, which would mean that like yeah, they're angels in a way, but they help keep like structure and order within this like Earth experiment.
That
So
makes sense.
I don't know if the hierarchy is like if they're creating class systems or something like that. Like I'm not sure with that, but they're like trying to keep structure and order within the Earth, within that hierarchy. So I'm not quite sure how that obtains. I'm not familiar with that word, so they're having to really show me through pictures.
Okay, no, that makes sense. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so um, what does it mean when people say that we're ascending to the fifth dimension?
When it means that we're ascending to the fifth dimension, it's just the frequency because everything's frequency vibration. You'll hear us transmit that a lot, but ascending to the fifth dimension is a higher dimension. We are going to be based out of different elemental structures. So as you have it on Earth, you are the periodic table of elements is a carbon-based periodic table of elements. When you go to the fifth dimension, you'll be more of a crystalline base of table of elements. So things will be different in as far as energy goes, and the energy of the crystalline energy will be easier to manipulate and to work with. And so you'll be working with energy more on a higher frequency, but then you're not in working with that energy, it's no longer a path of mastering so many of the lower density emotions that you came here to experience on Earth. And so when you're going to the fifth dimension, it's a higher vibration, things are more harmonious. Like it's no longer about so much working with the emotions. Now it's about using and consciously creating the experience that you want to have within the fifth dimension. So it's a very different experience, one centered around unconditional love because it's a higher frequency of vibration. And so it will actually be, at first it won't appear that way, but it will actually be a different planet altogether.
Perfect. So when we talk about we're a star seed, what does it mean to be a star seed?
What it means to be a star seed is that you have had past lifetimes in the in another planet. So you are from the stars. Your soul, which is here having a human experience in a human body, you descended down from the stars. So you've already been a higher level of consciousness than you are currently at on Earth. Humans incarnate for the first time on Earth. So they're brought down from source into Earth. And whether they start as an element, a rock or a tree, they wouldn't be a tree because trees are actually very, very highly conscious beings. But you could start off a lifetime like that, then ascend to be a human. But the whole part of being brought from source to be a human is to have a natural soul's evolution to ascension. So what you would be doing is learning about how to be a baby, and then you learn how to be a human, and you want to master, you want to master something in this lifetime. And so then you come back and you master another thing in this lifetime until you've checked all the boxes and grown and evolved to a fifth dimensional being. So it's very different. Star seeds have already had higher level lifetimes on other planets, other systems, and come down here and incarnate as a human. So we're not here to evolve and to learn how to ascend. We've already ascended. Humans start here and grow to ascension, to then evolve to be able to go to the higher dimensions.
So when people say like, "Oh, I'm a Pleiadian star seed, I'm a Lyran star seed," what does that mean? Why do they feel more connected to a specific group of extraterrestrials?
That means your soul signature frequency resonates more with that frequency of that collective. So you may have been a Lyran and spent many, many lifetimes on their planet, but also have gone to other planets and been a part of that collective. But the majority of your time was spent on Lyra. So your soul signature frequency would resonate more with that collective, where there's that more of that connection with that collective. And so when you go and have further adventures in life, further lifetimes in life, your energy frequency can send transmissions to that collective of your experiences, and they can use that collective's like that energy of your experiences for whatever that they're working on, whatever that they might need and or need it to tap into. So it's just predominantly where the resonance of your frequency resides. It doesn't mean you didn't spend time on other planets and didn't, have those lifetimes. What it means is it's just more of a connection with that collective.
Why is it so important for us to know or recognize, I guess, which star seed or what kind of star seed we are?
Because the ego likes to identify with self, and it's okay. It helps. And also it can help activate remembrances of that collective so everything that exists within the quantum realm, it's like the veil, the etheric realm, right? Everything that exists there. When you wake up from a dream and you write it down, you were just in that quantum realm, right? In your dream, and you were just in that place of all things. And when you write it down, when you journal it, when you first wake up, what you're doing is you're anchoring that frequency of the remembrance of that dream into this 3D realm. So by bringing it and making it physical, by writing it down, you consciously are accessing that information and bringing it into this 3D realm. Well, the same thing works when you identify with your collective. For one, it gives you sense of self, and you just like, you have that sense of just like identification, which, and then it helps you go like, oh, I did feel those things. I trust your intuitions. But it also anchors in that into this 3D realm from that understanding. And so that's important too, to anchor in those energies, because when you anchor in the energies, it starts to flow the transmission back and forth between that collective, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to add one thing, just because I've worked with a lot of star seeds, is it's also when you learn what kind of frequency you carry, you learn a lot about yourself and you learn a lot about the superpowers that you come into this life with. So I'm all about like how do we use our greatest abilities in our life. So like if you're a Pleiadian star seed, most likely, not all, but a lot, they're very empathic and they can actually learn how to like transmute other people's emotions. And that's like their greatest gift. Or like Lyrans, a lot of my Lyran clients, they just radiate with like this healing, beautiful, loving energy. But then they can tap into their solar plexus and be like the spiritual warrior. So it's like, how can we remember the frequency that we are like our base frequency that we embody? And then how can we use it in this lifetime to create with it?
Yes, and those are all great things. Like that's what we're saying, like to tap it and to bring that energy to anchor it into the 3D realm. Is like
Yes.
by understanding it and having, and by no means like we don't see the ego as a bad thing. So like understanding and having a sense of self. Well, this you are God having an experience who wants to have a sense of self and to understand how it interacts with self, if that makes any sense. So there's no bad about that. But yeah, you guys all have certain powers, and there are a lot of collectives that have very similar gifts and things, the modalities that they do, because once you work with energy, like it all can easily transfer to one thing or another. Like once you realize everything is energy, and by working with anything that you're just working with energy, it's very easy to be, once you even just acknowledge that you're a being from another planet. You don't even have to know specifically where you're from, but that can unlock your gifts too, because manipulating energy, whether it be to, read thoughts, telepathy, to be a healer, it's all energy. And so a lot of the collectives have a lot of the same skills, just maybe some are more predominant as healers than others, because that's just what their frequency resonates with.
Yes, absolutely. So what is the difference between a starseed and a light worker?
Starseed is just someone that's from another planet. A light worker is someone here that's supposed to use their light to transmute the darkness, to bring balance back, and to alchemize it.
So are all starseeds light workers?
No, they have been in past lifetimes. If you're a starseed, most likely you've used that energy before. But no, light workers are people here, or souls who incarnated here as humans that are here and actively transmuting with light, high frequency energy. So they're active healers. Some of the star seeds are here just to be observers, like they are asleep. They have those gifts on other places. But right now, the only thing they're doing is having a human life and transmitting information to the collectives. Like, and there are some, it's just like different job, like, okay, so we posted in classifieds that with the call to come to planet Earth to help out with the ascension process, these are the job descriptions. And so some people applied to be a light worker. Some people are like, I'll go have the experience, but I don't want to do all that. It's like, I don't want to play with my demons on Earth. I don't want to like play with that shadow work. I'll just go and have an experience and hold a frequency and transmit information. And they're like, perfect, you're perfect for the job. You got that job. And then some people are like, I'm there to dispel darkness. Like, I'm there. I'm all about that. Like, I'm skills, like mad skills. They're like, okay, but you're going to have to go through some hardships and forget who you are. And they're like, it's going to be no problem. Like, I'm that badass. And then they're like, you know, they come to be that light worker and they're like, what the heck? I'm abandoned. No one loves me. Like, there's no reason for it all. And then their guys are just up there like, oh my gosh, like you were a badass, I thought. Like, here you are. Enjoy
I know.
yourself.
Then we get here and we're like, oh my God, what was I thinking?
So yeah, we're laughing because you guys all like signed up for these, like you actively applied for the job and then you got here. We warned you. And then, you know, but there are different jobs that were needed to help anchor in for the ascension.
So, what are spirit guides and how can people connect with them or build a relationship with them?
So spirit guides are just essentially guides that are here to help your spirit along the life contract that you wanted to have as an experience here on Earth. Plain and simple. You can perceive them and they can embody any frequency of any kind of being that, you know, sometimes we show up as different things because it resonates better for you and it's more palatable. Sometimes we show up as like a frog because you're like, you know, but essentially in that frog, we're just this higher being. But to us, it doesn't matter. It's just about showing ourselves in the way that's symbolically most comfortable for you to trust and to be guided by it. So essentially we can do that. And what was the second part of the question?
So, how can people connect to them more easily? So, say that like someone is just starting to have a spiritual awakening, they're a little confused, they have this feeling that they're missing home and they have no idea why. But they don't really meditate. What can they do to start building a relationship with their spirit guides?
Start having like we're showing Carrie, like dating. Start building a relationship with us by using your free will. So start having a small conversation with us. Maybe ask us for a sign. Maybe ask us for connection. Maybe just sit and still the mind and start opening yourself up for meditation and asking for us to come in with the greatest and highest good. For some people, we do come in like we're knocking at the door. We've been trying to like talk to them for a while. And for others, we know that it's like a softer entry that we need to create that relationship, but treat it as dating, like actively, you know, talk with us, like actively ask for us to show you signs. Like the more and more we have that dance of interacting with one another and like acknowledge when you do see the signs and gratitude to be like, okay, I see that feather. Thank you, friends. And then the next time they're going to start sending you, like, you're probably going to see numbers like crazy, like 555, 333, 1111. Start when you see those numbers, thanks, guys. And then once you've established that now we see that you see us, we are communicating okay with you. We're sending the signals, they're being received. Now you can start getting more specific and start saying, okay, this is going to be my sign for yes, this is going to be my sign for no. And you can start consciously asking us for that connection, like helping us guide. You can sit in prayer and meditation. You can use those connections and eventually as we realize we're coming in clear and loud and clear, and you're acknowledging when we are, that our relationship is going to be solidified, you know, more stable. But you have to consciously like ask us for more and more because we can send soft stuff, but we can't do big interventions because there are laws against non-intervention and humans have free will.
Why is it so important to connect to our higher guidance?
Because we know the master plan of what you want to experience in your life contract. And we have that gift of foresight of where we're at now and how we got there. So even though there are infinite amount of timelines, it's like we're showing Carrie like the end of that end game, like when Doctor Strange says that there's only one possible outcome to like make the snap not happen. Does that make sense? Like, so there's like this one timeline that we know how we got to exactly where we are in that timeline. So we're trying to guide you with all of that knowledge so that you don't diverge and melt into other timelines that are, they're all lessons, so it's not bad. But if you want to get there in a more steadfast way, we're there to guide you with it. But we're also there to help you course correct. So it's fine.
Amazing. So, what about, well, first of all, do you have any messages that you would like to share with the collective, or specifically messages for people that might just be starting their spiritual journey?
Yes, we knew that you were going to ask that before you even asked. And we just want to share with you that we know it can be hard and we know it can be confusing from your perspective at that time, but we also know that you are a powerful being and that you've ascended. If you're listening to this right now, you are a being from another planet and what you would call star seeds. And you've done this before. You were the best of the best that were called here to help humanity at this time. And it can be confusing from where you're at, but constantly connect with us because we love you and we want to help guide you. And we see that only the best and highest good is going to come for you and for humanity out of this, and that you're stronger than you think, that you will get to a place where you will see all that you are going through now and be in gratitude and be in love for it. But right now, just think of it as a teacher, and that teacher of those lessons and those feelings that you are going to overcome. And we are always here to love and support you. And ask for whatever you need in your life, and that will come to you. That we're not talking about of earth things. We're talking about the guidance and support and the higher understandings and the higher knowings. We guarantee that those will come to you. And that we're here. We love you. You're doing great. And will send transmission to these girls that are needed at the appropriate time to help you guys out.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that.
You're
So
welcome.
right now, I do just have one more question. I feel like right now the theme is really remembering who you truly are at the divinity or at the level of your divinity. Why is it so important to remember who you are?
It's so important to remember who you are and to ask for that remembrance, because we are going to that 5D earth, and you need to anchor in that 5D energy or higher for the humanity that wants to try to make that ascension and that jump, because they've been entrapped here for too long and not been able to leave the third dimension for too long. So you are all here to help them. And you're all powerful, and the veil is so thin right now that your gifts and your capabilities are easier to access than ever before on the timelines of Earth. And so just remember you're powerful, remember that you're here for a purpose, and remember that you're loved.
And when we say remember, what do we mean?
Activating your Akashic, activating your DNA. Remember, because it's not like you're doing something for the first time. You're remembering something you've already ascended and mastered.
And what are powerful ways for us to remember who we are?
So you can meditate in, you can pray and ask for remembrance. Connect, like when you start feeling something that feels familiar, go with that, be in joy, be in love. You can even infuse your waters with your hands that you drink, your food that you eat, put your hands around it and activate that food to be, or that water as you ingest it, that to be a remembrance of your powers, your strength, your lineage, who you are.
And then we just kind of had like a funny question to wrap up today. What came first, the chicken or the egg?
Both. They both existed at the same exact time, because time doesn't exist. So in order for one to be created, the other one had to be created at the exact same time.
That makes sense. Do you have any other messages that you'd like to share today?
No, we're just excited to see where this is all going to unfold, and you guys are doing great. And 5D Earth is at your fingertips.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.